Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. This timepiece is the original Rolex Cosmograph Daytona. Before it was the Oyster Perpetual, before it was 40 millimeters, heck, before it was a chronometer or even had screw-down crowns, you had the 6239, originally launched as the Rolex Le Mans back in 1963. 1 million serial, pretty much on the nose, puts this watch somewhere between 1964 and 1965, and it exhibits all of the traits of an early Cosmograph. No, it's not a double Swiss underline, but in many regards, it's still as elemental as the Daytona has ever been. Now, the timepiece is 36.5 millimeters in stainless steel. You can see a great deal of the thickness is due to the towering plexiglas crystal. The watch has a later Rolex twin lock service crown. You can see that the timepiece is compact from lug to lug at only 43.7 millimeters by 13.4 millimeters thick, with a 19 millimeter spacing between the lugs should you wish to accessorize with a strap. And of course, on a watch like this, you probably will. Now, we've put it on a factory Rolex leather strap. As you can see, this one is black, calfskin on both sides. It has a folded edge, it has a monotone stitch, and it has a simple Rolex stainless steel pin buckle. The timepiece wears vintage on my wrist, which is to say relatively tall and relatively squat. It has a nostalgic look. It's a little bit quaint by the standards of modern Rolex, but it's universally wearable, and I won't assign a lower size limit for this watch because I think it can wear well on any wrist. Again, the timepiece is only 43.7 millimeters from lug to lug, so just about any wrist can wear it. And though it's not super slim, it should fit underneath just about all cuffs. Now, taking a quick look at the case is in good shape. While it's not a time capsule watch, it is in good shape. You can read the serial number, you can read the reference number. All of the original metal looks straight. It has been refinished in its life, though not so much that the spring bars protrude from the lug holes. You can see that there's correct polish on the flank with plenty of volume and curvature left, and that there's no deformation or denting of the lug ends. Satin finished on their top, they give way to a bezel that is correct for the period. You can see it's calibrated to 300 units. The tachymeter, which as ever can be read against the seconds hand to gauge the speed of an object, such as a racing car, over, for example, 1 mile or 1 kilometer, because it doesn't have specific units, miles or kilometers. You can do either. Now, you can see that the dial of the watch is both original and imperfect, as is often the case with many vintage watches. I want you to get a good look at it because you can see that, in particular, the constant seconds register, the space just to the left, that is clockwise of 6 o'clock, and then the span from roughly 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock shows a small amount of oxidation. This could be described as patina, but frankly, I'm going to admit that the dial on this watch is between about 70 and 75% in terms of its qualitative rating. The case is approximately the same, although I'd probably be a little bit more generous given that the lugs have no deformation or dents. And then the movement inside, which is Valjoux 72 based but highly Rolex modified, I would describe as 90%. It is in gorgeous condition with all the Rolex modifications. The dial, of course, features applique indices. It is an original tritium dial, though over time I do believe that the hands at center have been swapped. Condition is good, contrast is high, and it has a lovely inverse panda color scheme with azurage or concentric guilloche inside the individual dished sub-registers. You could see just a moment ago that even then, the watch was an instantaneous jumping minute, and the movement inside, though based on the Valjoux 72, has been modified by Rolex. Rolex calls this the caliber 72B, which means first and foremost, it's the Valjoux 72 with a Breguet overcoil. It also features a KIF shock spring, which is a little bit non-standard, a Rolex modification, and a free sprung regulator to make it tougher and better able to take and hold a precise regulation. It is a manual wind 18K beat 17 jewel movement with a column wheel and a lateral clutch. The column wheel feel remains impeccable, and a 48-hour power reserve. The watch is best described as having no water resistance. Back in the day, it would have been between 30 and 50, but given the circumstances and the value of this watch, I recommend you avoid H2O. it is simply a no-go. This timepiece is gorgeous. The condition is very good. It is a daily driver. It is also a collectible. It is rare above all. This is the original Rolex Daytona, the 6239, now available at the Watchbox. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing.